Welcome to Love in Life, a guide to a positive mindset. My aim is to show you that the key to a happier and more positive mind is to love the life you have. We will look at tips and tools you can use to improve your mindset, and the best thing is, we'll all be on this journey together. Hello, welcome to Love in Life. I'm Lisa, and this week I'm coming to you with so much gratitude for your patience and your understanding. Obviously, last week there was no episode. As you know, if you listened to me the week before, we went to Abu Dhabi. We had an amazing time. It was fantastic. And then when I got back, this was building up whilst I was over there, to be honest. But when I got back, I was suffering. I can share this with you guys. I've basically shared it with anyone anyway. But I was suffering with such bad constipation. And I don't know if any of you have ever suffered with like really true bad constipation, not just where you struggled to go for a couple of days, but like I could physically feel my intestines blocked up. I could feel the lumps. Sorry, this is really gross. I hope you're not eating. I could feel the lumps in my tummy. And it got to the point about 2 days after I'd been home, it got to the point where I couldn't even lift my leg up. I couldn't put my shoes on, and it was absolutely ridiculous. I've never felt anything like it before. And yeah, I have total sympathy now for my son who suffers from the same. And yeah, so what did I do? I obviously took lots of I'm a very natural kind of girl, so I took lots of natural remedies for it. I also had some of the sachets that my son has been prescribed by the doctor, and nothing was really clearing it. So I decided to do a belief coding session. When I'd been home for 48 hours, I decided to do a belief coding session and just see if there was anything linked to it, any trapped emotions that were linked to it that were stuck, that were causing it. So that's what I did, and the trapped emotion that was stored in my body that was causing this was feeling unloved. And there was something that happened just before I went away that caused this feeling. And I'm not going to go into it because it's very personal, but it just goes to show that when you have a trapped emotion stored in your body and then it's triggered by that feeling again in the future, it comes out in a physical or mental discomfort or pain. And as soon as I did that session on myself, I had a little nap for about an hour afterwards, allowed my body to rest and release all the emotions that I'd been working on. And I kid you not, I felt so much better. The following day, I could lift my leg up normally, considering it was like completely blocked up. It just goes to show that our mind and bodies are so linked. So when you have a pain, when you have something wrong with you, when you have a sore throat, when you have a headache, it's probably because there is a trapped emotion. And something has triggered that trapped emotion to show itself. So it's always worth going back and thinking about what happened just before you felt this feeling coming up. Like, what has happened that has upset you or made you angry or frustrated you? Like any of those emotions that might be trapped. What has happened to trigger it? And then go back to a time in the past when that might have become trapped in the body. And this isn't necessarily always easy to do by yourself. That's why we have belief coding, so as you can have somebody facilitate you through that. But there are things you can do yourself just to relieve it. And you can, if you feel like you know where this became trapped, what past experience has caused this, then there are things you can do by yourself to reframe it, journaling and just asking yourself for evidence of how that is still continuing now, and just prove to yourself that. Also look for evidence that it's, this feeling isn't necessarily what you need to be feeling now. Just reframe the way you think about it. Anyway, so that was why I didn't get round to doing an episode last week. I was going to be doing it when I got home, but I honestly just felt so rubbish. And I sent my friend actually a voice note on the Wednesday, and then I listened back to it on Thursday. I sent her another voice note then on Thursday. I listened back to both of them, and the difference in my voice was like, I really sounded ill. I sounded unwell on the first one, and I sounded like completely normal on the second one. And that was obviously after I did my session. So yeah, it's just amazing how these little things have, constipation doesn't sound like anything, does it? But that was my body telling me something, telling me that I needed to deal with something. So yeah, and then as soon as I did, it cleared up. I'm sorry if you can hear Hugo snoring in the background. I'm sat in the front room today because it's really warm in here and it's cold in my office. So yeah, I've got Hugo sat next to me, but we're all snuggled and we're all nice and warm. So that's the main thing. But yeah, that was my week last week. And when I was feeling better, I had so much catching up to do. I had clients booked in. Obviously, my paying clients have to come first because, they're paying for healing. And that is what I do best. So yeah, here we are, a week late, or missed a week. I don't know, whatever way you want to look at it. But thank you so much for your understanding. Thank you so much for coming back. I have to say, last week, looking back over my stats, which obviously I do all the time. I probably look at them way too much, to be honest with you. But looking back at my stats for last week, I had the lowest amount of listens last week than I ever have since I started this podcast. And obviously there have been weeks in the past where I haven't been able to do an episode every week, and people still listen back. So yeah, it made me think about why that might be. And I have to be honest, my energy is in other places at the moment. Like obviously I've just told you about my, how I was feeling last week. There's some really personal things going on in my family at the moment, so that is taking up a lot of my energy. Like my whole family is having to collaborate together to help each other through a really difficult situation at the moment, and that is what my energy is going into. My energy, unfortunately, isn't going into building my following on social media, which is something I try and keep on top of. Doing my podcast, my free podcast to help people improve their mindset. Unfortunately, I haven't had the mental energy for that. And I think that really was reflected. We say all the time about law of attraction, what you put out there is what you get back. And looking at the energy that I've been putting out there, the energy that I've had available, that has been reflected in what has come back to me. So to me, that's just proof that it's amazing proof that the law of attraction does work, and there is your evidence. Not that we needed any. But then energy levels, it got me thinking, this time of year is a time for slowing down. If you look at nature, what happens at this time of year? Everything drops. Everything just stops growing for a little while. Everything rests and recuperates. In the animal world, animals hibernate. They rest for the winter. And really, we are part of nature. So really, that is what we need as well. But unfortunately, the way our society is, and just the way that we've become, and this isn't necessarily a bad thing, you know, I'm not dissing this time of year because I fucking love it. I'm all here for it. But if you think about the things we need to do just this month leading up to Christmas, we are running around constantly. We are shopping. We're constantly thinking about what we need to make sure we need to buy. We're thinking about what we're going to wear for the Christmas party, how we're going to wear our hair, what makeup we're going to do. We're then going to the Christmas parties. We are entertaining people. We're having people into our homes, which is naturally an energetically draining process anyway. Not in a bad way. I love entertaining, but it does use up energy. We're having people into our homes. We are generally running around like headless chickens. Like I said, I love it, but actually it does go against nature. It's not natural for us as human beings, as natural beings, to be running around at this time of year when everything around us is slowing down and resting. And if you think about simply seasonal changes, if you think about what that means in nature and what that means to us, spring is a time for, if you look in nature, everything is waking up, everything starts to grow. And then in summer, you've got your garden is looking as abundant as it's going to look. The trees are full of leaves. The animals in nature are at their wildest. Everything has most energy in summer. And then in autumn, everything just starts slowing down. Leaves start dropping off the trees. Animals start preparing for winter. And then in winter is when everything stops. So the fact that we're running around in this time when everything should have stopped, what does that mean for us? Like if we don't take time to stop, if we don't take time to slow down, we are basically running around the whole year, which unfortunately the lifestyles that we lead nowadays in modern society, we haven't got a lot of choice, have we? You know, most of us have got jobs that we have to get up and go to, or we have to take the kids to school. We are constantly on the go. And the danger of this is, quite frankly, burnout. We are at risk of literally using up every single ounce of energy that we've got that is meant to be spread throughout the year, and we're using it up. We're using vital energy sources in the winter when we don't naturally rebuild those energy sources in winter as much as we do in the summer, for example. And therefore we also become at risk of being misaligned with just the cycles of the year, the seasons of the year. We're at risk of becoming out of touch of what nature needs from us, what our bodies need from us. So, what can we do to help ourselves here? Obviously, it's quite difficult to slow down in December when, most of us, if we've got kids, we are running around, taking them to parties and trying to entertain them after they've broken up from school, in that little gap between school ending and Christmas, whilst we're still doing the rest of the Christmas shopping, blah, blah, blah. It's really bloody hard to slow down in December. And then for those of you, not me, I do really feel for you, but those of you who work in jobs where you're working right up until like the 22nd of December. How the hell are you supposed to slow down before Christmas? How the hell are you supposed to slow down in December? It's impossible. But there are some things we can do to help ourselves. So it does mean that you have to make intentional time for yourself so as you can slow down. This means sometimes this might mean having to be organised and actually putting in time for self-care. It might mean scheduling in, I don't know, a bath one evening. It might be whatever self-care looks like for you, going out for walks, reading a book, even if it's just sitting down and watching your favourite Christmas film. You must make sure that you schedule in time. If you're finding it difficult to fit these things in, even if it's just 10, 15 minutes a day, it's so important that we do take time to slow down and to reflect, at least for a little bit of the day. God, can you hear my tummy rumbling? Starving. Ground yourself. I'm a big believer in sharing our energy with Mother Earth. So if you can, of course you can. Anyone can if they want to. Get outside and take your shoes off and stand on the ground. Obviously, it's a bit cold at the moment. But even if it's just for literally 1 minute and then come back in the warm, ground yourself. Stand on the ground with no shoes on and literally close your eyes and literally imagine that you've got roots growing from your feet, growing from the soles of your feet that are grounding you to the earth, connecting you with Mother Nature, exchanging energy. Like, this will give you a little bit of extra energy that is going to be needed at this time of year, because we've naturally got less energy, but we're running around doing more shit. So you need more energy, and grounding is a great way to do that. Another way, protecting yourself from draining energy, from negative energy. And a couple of ways we can do this: saging ourselves. I actually did do an episode on protecting your energy. I might be completely wrong here, but episode 49 is popping out into my head. I might be completely wrong there. If I'm right, then bloody hell, I'm impressed. It probably isn't. But anyway, protecting your energy. Go back and have a listen to that. Because I tell you, there's a few crystals that you can use that protect your energy. There are a few things that we can do, like creating an imaginary barrier around you where nobody else's energy can come into your area of energy, and anything that does come towards it just bounces back. Like, we really need to protect our own energy, preserve our own energy at this time of the year. Having boundaries in place, like this time of year, can be really difficult for people who struggle to say no to people, people who haven't got boundaries in place, people who feel like they've got to do everything for everybody. I feel like I'm talking about myself here. People who just want to make everybody else happy but often forget about themselves. People who have difficult family members and find themselves in situations when they are in negative energy. Again, this goes back to protecting yourself from negative energy, but you also need to have boundaries in place. If you need to go and see a family member, if you are spending time with a family member at this time of year, but you know that being in the same room as them, in the same house as them for too long drains your energy, then say that you need to leave by a certain time, or just say when it's time, recognize when you feel that your energy is being drained from you, and just say it's time to go. Or simply say no to people. Like, that is a massive part of having boundaries in place, is being able to say no. Something I do struggle with myself, if I'm being honest. I'm not pretending to be amazing at all these things myself. This is all things I know I need to do as well. So we've got self-care, grounding yourself, protecting your energy, protecting yourself from negative energy, having boundaries in place, having early nights. So again, this is kind of similar to self-care really, but having early nights at this time of year is a great way to replenish your energy. Like, our bodies physically repair when we're sleeping. Our energy naturally replenishes when we're sleeping. So given that naturally this time of the year we should be slowing down more, what an amazing way to be a part of nature by sleeping more. Just going to bed earlier. Again, this might come down to being more organised. Like, for me, I know I need to be more organised with meal planning, because and maybe doing tea a little bit earlier, because we're constantly eating. We eat tea and then the boys go off and do their homework and Craig and I clear up and then we go to bed. But if you think the earlier we do that, the earlier we can go to bed. So yeah, early nights is, I mean, I have early nights anyway. I'm normally in bed by about 8:30. But I've actually found the last few nights I've been going to bed a bit later. So that is something I need to incorporate myself. I love having early nights. Even if you don't go straight to sleep, because obviously if you've got a sleep pattern, it's really difficult to make yourself go to sleep earlier than you're naturally used to. But just being in bed, you're less likely to get up and go around doing stuff if you're in bed. Whereas if you go and sit in the living room, put the telly on, you're likely to think, I just need to go and do that bit of vacuuming. I need to go and finish off the kitchen. I need to do this. I need to do that. You're going to think of things if you are somewhere that you can get up easily. Whereas if you're in bed, you're in bed. Those things can wait until the morning. If you're the kind of person that it keeps you awake, thinking about what you need to do, then write it down. Have a notepad by the side of your bed and write down what you need to do in the morning, even if it is just things like vacuum the living room, even if it is things like unload the dishwasher. Like, if that helps get it out of your head, then write it down. Like, something I learned about for myself last week is to allow myself to put a movie on during the day when I'm feeling a bit run down, like I need a rest. If you're able to, put your feet up for half an hour, have a cup of tea. Oh God, I just thought Craig and I even had a 20-minute power nap yesterday. I was meant to be recording my podcast yesterday and Craig had come home. He's got a bit of a cold at the moment. He had a meeting at 3:00 and he was feeling rubbish. I was feeling really tired because I'm obviously running around doing loads of shit right now. And I was like, why don't we have a power nap? And this really goes against what Craig, he doesn't slow down. He's very much in his masculine energy. So he doesn't take time to slow down and he doesn't rest and nap, certainly throughout the day. And we both did it. And do you know what? It actually gave us a little boost of energy to get up and do what we needed to do. And even it was just 20 minutes. And I would say that's probably the optimal time, between 10 and 20 minutes for a power nap, just to replenish your energy is great. If you have any more than that, then you obviously, like I found this last week when I was poorly, but having more than 20 minutes, like half an hour to an hour, you don't want to get up then. You fall into a deeper sleep. Whereas if you stick to the 10 to 20 minutes, then you're still in that very much aware state, just to give you a little boost to carry on for the rest of the day. But yeah, recognizing when your body needs to rest. And if you are feeling particularly run down, then like I did last week, do put a film on, do put the blanket over you and get a cup of tea. And I know I make it sound so perfectly easy and amazing, don't I? But honestly, like we all find reasons why we can't do this. But actually, if that's what your body needs, then that's what your body needs. Like I always think I haven't got time to do things like that. I need to do my social media planning. I need to do client calls. I need to do this. I need to do that. I need to get dinner ready for everybody. I need to get the shopping ready. But do you know what? Like those things can wait. The things that you can be flexible on, make them flexible. Be flexible. Obviously, it is really difficult to slow down at this time of year. So even if you don't slow down at this time of year, make a pledge to yourself to at least slow down in January. And because we often start, like spring cleaning, prepping, getting ready for the year ahead. We can still do this, but in a way that we still preserve our energy. Like we have to find some time in the year to slow down, because if we don't, our bodies are going to make sure we do. That's when you become ill. When you pick up a cold, when you get tonsillitis, when you all these things that we catch, that's all a sign that your body needs something. Your mind needs something. So listen to your body. And if you can, allow your body to get what it needs before it needs to tell you what it needs. And by working with nature, so slowing down in the winter when we can, this is a great way of that proactive approach, giving our bodies what we need. I've just remembered I did a self-care download last year. So if you struggle to think of ways that you can, what is self-care? If you're unsure what self-care is, and if it means to you is having a bath, well, I haven't got time for a bath. It's not all about having a bath. There's so much more that self-care means. So there is a download. If you look in I'll see if I can paste a link down the bottom actually, but my link that I usually post that's got my link to a link, as I always say, it's in there. So self-care download. If you need ideas of just thinking of ways that you can just show your body, show yourself a little bit of love, then take a look through that and get some ideas. And let me know what comes up for you. Let me know what calls you. So also don't forget, if you need to listen back to Protecting Your Energy, that episode. And also I did an episode probably about this time last year about setting boundaries over the holidays, or how to get through the holidays, something like that. But go back and have a listen to that too. Now, if you want to go into the new year knowing exactly what you need to do to achieve your best year ever next year, then don't forget to sign up to my year planning masterclass, which is called 2024 I'm Ready for More. And this is going to be on the 28th of December at 3 p.m. UK time. And now, I know I've obviously just said to you about slowing down for January and everything. And actually what we will be doing when we're planning, for those who join me, what we're going to be doing for planning for next year is actually bearing in mind the seasons of the year and what that means for nature, what that means for our energy levels. So, yeah, it's It's going to be a good one. It's going to be amazing. Like, it was amazing last year, but I've got so much more knowledge this year than what I had last year that I can incorporate into it. I'm very much more in sync with the cycles of the year, cycles of our natural energy levels. I've got a lovely exercise planned for letting things go. You know, with what I do with belief coding now, I know so much more about intentionally and energetically letting things go. So it's going to be a good one. I really hope to see you there. Like I've said last week, if you are unable to join me live, that is absolutely not a problem. Like, you might be, unfortunately, having to go back into work in between that week between Christmas and New Year. Sadly, some people have to go back to work. If that's you, then that's fine. You can still watch the replay back. It's yours to keep forever. So even if you do want to take my advice on completely resting in January, you could even do it a couple of weeks into January. Once you've had that little bit of rest, you can do it at your own in your own time. So yeah, I'll pop the link below for that. Don't forget, I've still got belief coding sessions that you can book, one-off belief coding sessions for the special price of 111. Again, pop the link below for that. If you've enjoyed this episode, if it's spoken to you about slowing down, realising that you need to slow down for winter, share it with whoever. If you can think of anybody who would benefit from listening to this, please do share it with them. Please do tag me in your stories of you grounding. Tag me in your stories of protecting your energy, of having early nights, of, I don't need to see you in bed, but you know what I mean, of snuggling up and watching a film, like making the most of this, what should be slowing down season. And as always, please do leave me a review. If you've loved it, please tell everyone. Right, I am off now. I really hope you have a fantastic week and find some time to slow down, to find a bit of time for self-care, and let me know how you get on. I'll speak to you next week. Bye.